This conference will now be recorded.
Well, good evening to all members and wish you a very happy new year. Thanks for joining this first knowledge sharing webinar session for this year 2021. A very warm welcome to our guest speaker, Mr. Palaniappan. I'm Vijay Narayanan, VP Professional Development of the PMICC Chennai chapter, and I will be the moderator for this session. But without doubt, last year was a crazy year. I think we had 3 face-to-face knowledge sharing sessions, and all of those were in the first quarter. And since then, the pandemic, and we went online from March for all our chapter sessions. I think from the professional development standpoint, we had conducted 14 online knowledge sharing sessions. That's almost 2 every month. 2 online full day workshops, 2 days of Sangamam project management conference, again fully virtual and for the first time in Tamil. Now this has never happened before, and it certainly is a very proud moment for the chapter. Obviously this would not have been possible without your support. So a huge thank you to all our chapter members for joining and supporting us all along for all the virtual activities, and we look forward to your continued support this year as well. Right, as always, a few quick housekeeping announcements. Please be on mute throughout the session. 1 PDU will be provided to all attendees of this session. I will share a feedback form for this session on the chat window, and please do fill it and submit it so that your PDU can be processed without any delay. If you have any questions for the speaker, I definitely encourage you to ask questions. So please post them on the chat window during the session, and we will cover them in the Q&A section right at the end. Right, let's get into the session. The topic for today's session is an interesting one: Zero EMI, a project plan, and it's going to be presented by Mr. Palaniappan. Now, how happy are we with the way we handle our finances? I think it's real. People stick to their jobs basically to pay off the EMIs. Now, how do we get rid of our EMIs and get financial freedom? Now, zero EMIs is a myth, or can this really be achieved? Now, let's listen to the expert, Mr. Palaniappan. Mr. Palaniappan is the author of the book Zero EMI, Unlock Your Financial Freedom. Now, he's a keynote speaker with over 15 years of industry experience as a banker and an IT program manager. He passionately speaks about attaining financial freedom by leading a debt-free life. Mr. Palaniappan is a distinguished Toastmaster. Academically, he holds an MBA in international business. So without further ado, it is an absolute pleasure to welcome Mr. Palaniappan to this knowledge sharing series and to this webinar. I hand it over to you now, Mr. Palaniappan.
Thank you, Vijay. Ajay is my friend. I know him from my childhood, and he grumbles about his job always. He always says, what kind of job is this? I don't know what I am doing. This is not something I wanted to do. I really hate going to job. I feel like quitting the job, so on and on and on. This is what our regular dialogue whenever we meet. Good evening, fellow project management professionals. A very happy new year to all of you. Before telling more about Ajay, let me take a moment to thank 2 people who are actually the reason for me being here. One is Kaushik and the other one is Vijay Narayanan. Thank you to both of them for giving me an opportunity to speak here. Now let me tell more about Ajay. Ajay works for a shipping company. Every day he has to go to the harbor, and he will sit in the harbor throughout the day and he will take note of all of the freight inward for his company and also the freight outward for the company. There might be one or two hardly. So throughout the day, he will sit idle. At the end of the day, he will go to his office to share his reports. During the month end, there will be some extra work like preparing MIS reports and reconciling the statements, etc., but not much. This is a regular work that he does month after month, day after day. That is when he got upset. He's not even interested to go to the job. He complains, as I told you earlier, that was the complaint statements received from him. But do you know what? After all these complaints, he still goes to the job. Every day, till now, he goes to the job. And do you know why? It's because of the commitment. Not the commitment towards the job, but the commitment towards EMI. And many of us are like my friend Ajay. Most people are tied to loans, to mortgages, to EMI. And we all go to a job because we need to meet our commitments. It's not the finance that actually we are able to control, but actually the finance controls us most of the times. How many of you agree to this statement? Do you disagree or agree with me? Now quickly, if you can give me a chat message. Do you agree or disagree? Let me give 30 seconds so that I can get more views. Perfect. So whatever responses that I have got, everybody has said agree. I'm still waiting for someone to say not agree, disagree, but I've never seen such messages in my sessions. So we all know, now we have a purpose. We have a problem situation. Then what's the solution to this situation? How do you even take control of your finances? How do you get rid of your debts? And how do you actually take full control over your life and enjoy financial freedom? Freedom to make decisions, freedom to buy what you want, freedom to work, and freedom to not to work, very importantly, freedom to not to work and do what you love to do. What is the solution for all of these? Plenty of questions, isn't it? But the answer is only one. As a program managers or a project manager or portfolio managers, the one thing that you need to do is to deliver a project called Zero EMI. Today, I'm going to talk to you about this project. As soon as you hear about a project, the very immediate question is, okay, you want me to deliver a project, so what? What are the key performance indicators of delivering a project, right? The business benefits of a project. Here are some of the key performance indicators that I was able to come up with for this project. Number one, you will never make a bad decisions end up in loans. Number two, you will not get into a debt trap and give your children a pathetic childhood. Number three, you will start living a stress-free life financially. Number four, you will attain financial freedom, the choice to make your financial decisions. Many people think that financial freedom is all about acquiring a lot of wealth and not to work anymore. In my opinion, that's partly true, but in my opinion, what I think is when there is a hole, then you will never be able to fill. Just imagine that you are filling oil in a can and that can has a small hole at the bottom. Do you think will you be able to fill that can ever? No, you will never be able to fill that can. First, you must close that leakage. EMI is such a leakage. When you have a leakage in your wallet, then how much ever you earn and put it into your wallet is going to leak. The first and foremost work that you need to do is to stop the leakage so that you attain financial freedom. I will also tell you the requirements of this program. Now we know the key performance indicators, but even before telling you the requirements, let me tell you why I am even eligible to talk about zero EMI. What is the need of this project? How did I found this project and how I encountered this? Right. I would like to take you back in my memory lane. In my life, I was in my 8th grade. My family was living in a very nice apartment. I had a lot of friends with whom I used to play cricket all the day. I never thought about coming home, even for lunch or dinner. And the cricket team properties like the bat, ball, stamp, all of that will be at my home, under my custody. Nobody can touch it. Even when I'm going out to school, I'll ensure that nobody touches that. When as soon as I reach home, I'll take a look at that. If I come to know that somebody have disturbed it, then they're gone. I literally live like a king. I lived like a king until my father quitted his job. He quit his job and started a printing press business. He faced a lot of hardships in bringing up the business, in developing the business. So whatever income that we earned from the business was only enough to meet up the operational expenses like salary, rent, etc. So to run the family and to develop the business, my father started taking loans. Within a year, my entire family got into a financial crisis. The debts started to pile up, the money that we borrowed and also the interest towards it. We had unsolicited visitors every day to our house asking for money. There were a lot of phone calls at odd hours asking for money. Everything around me started changing. My school, my house, my friends, my books, everything started changing. We moved to a new house because we were no longer able to pay the rent for the old house. I did not like that house because I did not get any friends. I went to a new school. Again, I did not like that school because I was so attached to my old school. But the thing that hurted me the most was when I returned my cricket team properties, the ball, bat, stump, and all of that. I wept like anything. I cried the whole day as if the entire world had come down. Nobody could console me. Actually, the king in me was broken. I grew up, I got graduated, the entire family spent sleepless nights. I took multiple employments in order to repay the loan. Many years, nobody knows how many years, but after so many years, we were able to pay off the debt and I finally became debt free. Since then, I'm living on cash. I'm not borrowing money and I advocate the same to others. Make sense? I always wanted to.
Sorry, just to interrupt. Your screen sharing has stopped. Please, can you reshare your screen? Sorry for that. Thank you.
Stop this.
Okay, sorry. Okay, fair enough.
I'll be doing this on and off. Thanks for bringing this to my notice, Vijay. Okay, now you know why I'm eligible to talk about zero EMI and how I landed into this project. And I also spoke about the key performance indicators. Now let me tell you the requirements. When we get a project as a program managers or project managers, the first thing we look into is, hey, do you have the requirements ready? So these are the requirements for this project, for the zero EMI project. One, identify if a debt is a good debt or a bad debt, first and foremost. Second, never get into a debt trap. And third use case is to find out ways to reduce your loans. And the fourth use case is to learn to avoid taking new loans. Meaning you might be already leading a zero EMI life or you do not have any EMI luckily. Then how do you sustain at that level? How do you really avoid taking new loans so that you continue at zero EMI? So these are the four requirements at a high level. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do a deep dive into these requirements and explain you each of these requirements so that you get a grip of this and go ahead and deliver your project. It's very essential to get a good understanding about the requirements for you to deliver the project. First and foremost, you should understand what is a good loan and a bad loan. The loans that you take for the items that will grow in value are all good loans. For example, business, housing, education, and all of these loans are good loans. If you invest money in business, you're going to earn profit and you'll be able to repay your bank loans along with interest. So it's a good loan. And housing loan, definitely the value of the house is going to surpass the value of the house value of the loan along with the interest. And education, definitely it's an investment and it's going to repay across generations. So it's a good loan. Bad loan are the loans for which for the items for which you get a loan and those items depreciate in value, like cell phones, appliances, car. When I say appliances, these are all home appliances. These are all home appliances. Wait, did you hear me right? Did I say car loans? Yes, actually you heard it right. Car loan is a bad loan. It may sound absurd because car loan is one of the most popular loans. Last week also one of my teammates bought a car in loan. And car loans grows annually 18 to 20% in India. Still, I say it's a bad idea to buy a loan and get a car. Let me show you what will happen when you buy a car in loan. Imagine that you're taking a loan for 5 lakhs and the interest is about 9.25% on average. Now it has come down because of the COVID situation, and the maximum number of years allowed to repay is 7 years, and your EMI would be 8,108. The total outflow would be 6.8 lakhs. If you look at this 6.8 lakhs and this 5 lakhs, the difference is 1.8 lakhs. Two key observations here. One is you're paying 1.8 lakhs more, close to 25-30% more than what you borrowed. Two, your car is not worth of 6.8 lakhs at the end of 7 years, period. Now tell me, is it wise to buy a car loan? Car loan is a depreciating asset and you must not buy a car. Okay, now how do I buy a car? Car obviously costs us in lakhs. How do I buy a car? Let me tell you what my friend Arjun did. Arjun also had a dream to buy a car. He doesn't know driving. So he don't want to buy a new car and dent it everywhere, because when you see a dent in a new car, it will bleed, right? You will feel bad. So what he decided is to buy an old car and learn driving first of all. So he bought a Maruti 800 for 50,000 rupees. After 1 year, he was a bit confident about his driving skills. He thought it's time to upgrade to a new car. So he went to the market and inquired about the car. The car starting price is around 5 lakhs, the cars that he desired to buy. Then he took a stock of how much money he had in hand. He had only 2 lakhs plus at hand. So he thought he will wait for some more time. Please note, he decided to wait for some more time. And after 1 more year, he again took a stock of cash. He had almost 5 lakhs in hand. At the time, this Hyundai Motor also came up with a sales drive wherein they announced a lot of exchange bonus. So he took his Maruti 800, exchanged it. To his surprise, the car was taken at a value of 25,000 rupees, plus he got an exchange bonus of 40,000 rupees, put together 65,000 rupees. And the new car that he wanted to buy was a grand item and costed 5 lakhs rupees. So for 5.65 lakhs, he drove home a new car with whatever he had in his hand. The best part is, from the next month, there is no EMI. Very interesting, isn't it? How does it feel when you don't have to pay an EMI for a car loan, right? So it's very important to not to buy loans for things that depreciate in values. That is why it's very important for you to understand the difference between a good loan and a bad loan. If you also look at this picture, this slide very carefully, at the end of the good loan, you see there is a progress bar. things will go up. But at the beginning of the bad loan itself, you would see that things will go down. So this gives a very important message wherein good loans can be taken for the items that will grow in value, and bad loans are taken for the items that declines in value and that must be stopped. Now, the very important point and very important use case is to not to get into a debt trap. What is a debt trap? It's like pulling more than you could actually do, or eating more than you could chew. Debt trap is a situation that favors the bankers strongly, not you. And I will tell you one example for you to clearly understand what a debt trap is. One of my friends named Ashish, he actually tried his luck in share market. He bought very few shares, small shares, and then sold it, and he was able to get some success. So with that little success, that gave him a lot of motivation, and he wanted to buy more stocks. Quite natural, isn't it? When you succeed somewhere, then you want to do the same thing more and more. However, he did not have much cash in hand. By that time, one of my other friend or common friend came and told, hey, you know what? Ashok Leyland shares are going to go up. One of my friend who is working in the company told that I got a very strong insider information and you should buy that. So this guy Ashish, because of the small success history that he had and this information combined together, he was very much tempted to buy Ashok Leyland shares. But he had no money or very less money in hand. At the time, I think Ashok Leyland was trading at the price of 24. Now 122 somewhere. But at that time, it was trading at 24 rupees, and this guy wanted to buy in bulk. And he also wanted to buy some more stocks. So he did not have money. A dangerous thought came into his mind, and he went ahead and implemented it. He went and took a personal loan from his banker and invested in the share market. He took 5 lakhs of personal loan, and he bought the shares throughout, not only Ashok Leyland and so many other companies. In 2009, when there was a recession, the market crashed, and that's when Ashish actually burned his fingers. The entire value of his portfolio shrunk to almost 70,000 rupees. He waited for 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, nothing turned out. But at the end of the 4th year, he was almost completed repaying Citibank loan. Almost 7 lakhs he repaid for the loan that he took for 5 lakhs. And his portfolio never came beyond 80,000. So this is actually a debt trap, without having anything in hand, without having an assurance of the returns, you are taking a loan and putting in something is actually falling into a trap by yourself. Beware of the debt trap and never get into a debt trap. This is the second use case. And now the third use case is to understand what are the ways to reduce loans. There are multiple ways to reduce loans and be at zero EMI. There's a very key use case of the zero EMI project. The first and foremost step is repay. It's a very simple and straightforward applying vanilla method. When you get a loan and keep making repayments month after month, then over a period of time, the loans will be closed. You will get into the end of the loan term, and you will obviously free from the loans. So let me go to the next. Let me go to the next way to reduce loans: prepay. So in addition to the EMIs that you are regularly paying in step 1, repayment, you can also make some additional payments, which is called prepayment, so that you can close your loans faster and get into zero EMI. You may think, boss, I don't have money to pay my EMI itself. Then how will I even make additional payments, right? When there is a will, there is a way. It may sound philosophical, but if you think deeply, that is true as well. Necessity is also the mother of invention, right? So when you actually think and innovate, you'll find n number of ways to bring that extra money into the table. In addition to the salary, we also receive an annual bonus if you're a salaried person. And what do we do with the annual bonus? You can actually make that as an additional payment, as a prepayment, so that you bring down your loans quicker, faster. Once you close all your loans, then the entire annual bonus is yours to spend. So you need to think about ways, evaluate your own situation, and then come up with ways to make prepayments. I, in fact, took a housing loan for 45 lakhs. The EMI was 43,340 rupees for 10 years. Sorry, for 20 years. I actually paid only for 10 years, so that's what coming up. The loan tenure is actually 20 years. I made a lot of prepayments and was able to close the entire loan in 10 years, thereby saving close to 52 lakhs of EMI money that I would have otherwise paid to the bank. It's a huge money, isn't it? 52 lakhs is a huge money, isn't it? You can also do that. You can also close your loans in 10 years here, and even lesser than that, in order to save a lot of money. Otherwise, you would have paid in the form of interest. Let me show you how it is. Let's take this example. Consider that you have taken a loan of 30 lakhs for a tenure of 20 years, and the interest rate is 10%. Now it has come down. It's trading anywhere to 7 to 8%. So in this formula, it calculates about 28,951 rupees. So if you look at the table on the right hand side, so this is the principal, and the total outflow would be around 69.48 lakhs, which means 39 lakhs will be the interest outflow, and it is 20 years. How can you actually make prepayments and bring it down and close this loan before 20 years? How can you reduce your interest outflow? That is what I'm going to show you now. The first technique you might follow is paying 3,000 rupees every month additionally. For example, instead of 28,951, you can actually pay 31,951. So at that time, your interest outflow will come drastically down. If you look at the interest amount here, it is only 28 lakhs 83,455 when compared to 39 lakhs. So the total outflow is only 58 lakhs 83,000. And if you also look at the right hand side, the tenure, instead of 20 years, it has come down to 15.5 years, thus giving you a saving of 11 lakhs and closing the loan 4.5 years before. So there is also another technique wherein you can actually close even before. Let me show you that. 15,000 rupees every quarter. If you are not able to make additional payment every month, you can actually start saving money, accumulate it, and once in 3 months, quarter meaning once in 3 months, you go and pay that money to the banker so that your loan amount comes down. If you look at here, in this case, the total outflow is only 54 lakhs when compared to the previous one of 58 lakhs. And that is by paying just 15,000 rupees extra every quarter. And also note that you will be able to close the loan in 13.5 years when compared to 15.5 years in the first technique and 20 years originally. Thereby, you are actually saving 14.5 lakhs and 6.5 years before you are able to close the loan and you become zero EMI almost 7 years before. It's pretty huge, is it? I'll also show you one more technique wherein you can even close. Instead of paying 3,000 every month, instead of paying 15,000 every quarter, how about paying 1 lakh every year and a huge amount every year? This is where actually you can make use of your annual bonus, your monthly savings, accumulations, and all of that. And if you notice here, the total outflow will only be 51 lakhs 14,000 rupees when compared to 54 here, 58 here, and 69 there. And also note that the total tenure will only be 11.5 years, almost half the time of the original tenure of 20 years, thereby reducing 8.5 years and also saving you 18 lakhs rupees. These are only few ideas, but depending on your situation, you can do your permutations and combinations and come up with your own ways of repaying even more. And many banks allows prepayment without any charges. You have to check with your banker first of all to understand if you can make repayments. Now we saw two ways to reduce loans: repay and prepay. There is also another way to reduce your loans. Sometime back, I met my friend Gautam in a supermarket. He was recently married, but he was looking so worried. The glow or happiness or energy, enthusiasm of a newly married guy was missing. I was a little curious, so I asked him about the reason. Hey, Gautam, why are you looking so sad? He hesitated. He said, Pani, no, it's nothing. When I pressed him hard, when I persuaded him, then he opened up his Pandora box of debt. That guy is actually suffering with a lot of debts, almost 12 lakhs. All of them are bad loans. He had 5 personal loans, 3 credit card loans, and there is 1 overdraft. I was so shocked. For no reason, he got into a debt trap. This is another example of a debt trap. And there is no asset backup. So what solution can we give to Gautam? What he can do to come out of the debt trap? Already he is having almost 20,000 rupees deficit every month, which means he is paying 20,000 rupees more than what he is earning towards the loan, towards his other expenses overall. So what solution can you give to Gautam? Any thoughts? Any thoughts on what could be your solution to Gautam? If you were Gautam, what will you do? Any thoughts? Any quick thoughts? Additional earnings. Unfortunately, additional earnings actually is not helping to reduce the loans, but it helps to increase the standard of living. That is what I have seen. Sell and reduce. Sell the jewels and close the loan. Yes, it depends. If there is some jewels backing, definitely we can close. But unfortunately, Gautam doesn't have anything of that sort. So what is the best option to close the loans even quicker? So this is what I suggested him. I suggested him to restructure. Restructuring the loans is about rescheduling your entire loan repayment structure, working with the banks and get it done. For example, we need to approach the banks with a proposal saying, hey, freeze the outstanding principal for Gautam, do not charge him more interest, and allow him to pay the frozen principal outstanding amount into 60 equal installments, say 5 years, because Gautam's ability to repay has come down. He's already having a deficit of 20,000 rupees. However, he is willing to repay, but his ability has come down. So we approach the banks to restructure his entire loan in this way. Freeze the principal, don't charge interest, allow him to pay in 60 equal installments about the frozen principal. So to make you understand better, this is an example. There was one loan from Gautam for 2 lakhs. And the tenure was 5 years. That's a personal loan. And EMI was 4,811. He already have paid 12 EMIs. The outstanding amount was 2.31 lakhs. The principal outstanding and the including interest. And the principal outstanding is 1.7 lakhs. Interest outstanding was 61,000. So what we wrote to the bank was to freeze the outstanding amount into 1.7 lakhs alone and waive off this 61,000, give a debate or discount of 61,000 and allow Gautam to actually pay this 1.7 lakhs in 60 equal installments. That roughly works out around 2,800 or 2,900, I think, if I'm not wrong. So straight away a 40% reduction from only one loan. So we did this for each and every loan, for all the 9 loans with 9 different banks. And at the end of the restructuring process approvals, Gautam ended up with 6,700 or 6,800 rupees surplus every month against 20,000 rupees deficit. So that is what restructuring. And again, this is very difficult to achieve because the banks will not agree to it. They don't have any obligation to agree. They refused, they resisted, they rejected. But we knocked all the doors possible. We went to the bank branch, we went to the bank head office, we went to the banking ombudsman office, we went to RBI, we wrote to everybody. And it took some time. It almost took 5 to 6 months for us to settle down everything. And during that time, there was annoying calls from the collection executives, visits, and all of that. To all of them, we just showed the letter saying, hey, we have applied for a restructure. You have to wait. You have to give us some time until we hear from your banker. So that is what we said, and we were able to restructure it. But this actually took a toll on Gautam's CIBIL report. We should be mindful of that as well. If you are very much aware about the CIBIL report, that is what the banks refer when you apply for a loan to measure your credit worthiness, your repayment capability, etc. So it took a toll. However, by his regular repayment to the newly restructured schedule and good credit habits, Gautam was able to build his credit score slowly. So after a certain period of time, I think it happened in 2009, 2010 timeframe, and in 2014, Gautam was able to buy a new house by taking a loan from LIC Housing Finance, which means the banks actually approved his loan considering the good history for the last 4 years. So the old history slowly gets evaded and the new history was built. That is how it is. So need not worry much about the credit report, but you can restructure so that you get some breathing space to reduce your loans. So these are the ways to reduce your loans. Now, the last use case is the ways to avoid loans. What are the ways to avoid loans? Recently, I rolled out a survey in SurveyMonkey questionnaire to a lot of people. Almost 200 plus people responded to my survey. There were college professors, college students, IT professionals, manufacturing sector people, my friends, relatives, all of them actually took the survey. One of the questions that I asked in that survey is, how do you reduce your loans? The various interesting reasons that they gave or ways they actually identified in order to avoid loans. These are some of the things that I'm going to share with you here from that survey. So let's quickly look into it. The first and foremost, this is savings. This is again a plain vanilla. I'm not going to take much time in explaining this. Savings will help you to avoid loans. Remember, savings is not an expense, but it's an investment. To reduce your expenses, there are a lot of people who are talking about reducing expense, increasing income. Yes, if you reduce the expense, you can actually avoid loans. How do you even reduce your expense when you do not know what is that you are spending? Right? How many of you track your expenses? I don't know how many of you do that, but one important habit that I learned from my father when I was in my early 20s was to write down the expenses. Every day before going to bed, he used to sit and write down the expenses for the day. Somehow I imbibed that habit and I'm following that till now. So that actually helped me, in fact, to plan my housing loan repayment also, which I stated earlier. If you are not tracking your expenses, first start tracking it from now. Let this new year begin in this way. Start tracking your expenses in the new year. There are a lot of apps now available. You can download some of the apps. And again, I'm not recommending any names, but you have to look at the, you can look at the security aspects of it and download an app and start tracking your expenses. That will give you an idea of where is your money going. Only when you know where is your money going, then you'll be able to identify the areas where you can actually chop your expenses. Show the unnecessary expenses the door. Don't show any mercy. Show them the door. Reduce your expenses. And 3, live within your means. Will Rogers, a popular actor turned writer, actually said this 100 years back. Most people buy things that they don't want by using the money that they haven't earned to impress people that they don't like. Let me tell you once again, if you missed to catch it. Will Rogers said, most people spend money that they have not earned to buy things that they don't need, to impress people that they don't like. He said this almost 10 decades back, and it still holds good. We still do that, isn't it? So living within the means is very important. And the fourth and foremost, if you're using a credit card, stop using a credit card. Stop using credit cards. Many people may find this also as an absurd, like car loans. Without credit card, can you imagine a life? Or is it a life? But you must stop using credit card if you want to lead a zero EMI life. But for various reasons, if you're not able to stop using your credit cards, whether you're using one credit card or more than one credit card, and you are not in a situation to stop using your credit cards, and here are my suggestions, the 5 golden rules for you to follow if you are going to use a credit card. 1, always pay the dues in full. There will be a minimum amount due in your statement, and there is also the total outstanding amount. Always pay the total outstanding amount. In fact, it's better to give a standing instruction. If you can give a standing instruction to your bank saying to deduct your money from your bank account towards the credit card bill. Don't ever pay the minimum amount due. The minimum amount due itself stands for when the acronym, when you get the acronym of minimum amount due, it stands for MAD, MAD. So paying the minimum amount due is a MAD thing. The bankers also knows that. And the next one is to keep track of your credit card expenses. I already spoke about tracking your expenses. Also keep track of your credit card expenses separately so that we have a clear demarcation of what is being spent from your own money and what is that you are supposed to pay back, repay, or what is that you owe to others, right? The borrowed money. So keep track of your credit card expenses. Third, read the monthly statement carefully. This is very important. Most of the times we don't take the time to read the statements. There might be some errors. There might be some manual errors or computation errors. There might be some miscellaneous charges to your account. You would have overlooked it and made the payment. Like for example, a banker would have offered you a free lifetime card, but in one of the statements they would have charged you a membership fee. Only when you read the statements carefully, you'll be able to figure out those kind of factual errors, and then you can actually report to your banker and get back that money. That is also your hard-earned money, right? Even if it is 1,000 rupees or 500 rupees. So read the statement carefully. I'm not saying all the statements will have mistakes, but if in case if some of the statements have mistakes, then you can actually get it. Fourth, don't ever withdraw cash from your credit card. During one of my session, in fact, after the session, one of the attendees came to me and thanked me for saying this because he was not aware that we should not withdraw cash from the credit card because it attracts interest from day one. If you purchase something online or offline for all your shopping expenses, there is a free credit limit from your credit card. But when you are actually going to take cash from your credit card, then your interest will be charged from day one. So please be aware of this fact and don't ever withdraw cash from your credit card. Recently, 2, 3 weeks back, one of my friends actually used a credit card in the ATM and withdrew cash by mistake. Instead of inserting his debit card, he inserted his credit card. The reason why the cash was dispensed, cash was given to him, was he used the same PIN number for both the cards. So if you are using the same PIN number for your debit card and your credit card, please change the PIN number. You have two different PIN numbers for two different cards, so that even if you press the same, by mistake, if you inserted the credit card and wanted to withdraw cash by entering your debit card PIN, it will throw you an error and it will save you a lot of money. For that instant, my friend actually paid 590 rupees. Immediately he went and paid back the money, remitted the money in the same ATM. But still he was charged as transaction fee, ATM handling fee, etc. up to 590 rupees. So beware of this fact as well. 5, don't take another loan to repay your existing credit card debt. Many people does that. Because of the due date, approaching due date, to meet the commitment, they take another loan and pay it. You're only transferring the loan to another banker. You're not actually closing a loan. So it is not going to help you for the 0 EMI. So these are the 5 golden rules if you are going to use a credit card or more than one credit card. Now coming back to this use case of how to avoid loans. Savings, reduce expenses, live within your means, stop using your credit cards. So these are the 4 ways to avoid loans and remain in 0 EMI. Okay. So we looked at all the 4 use cases. I did a deep dive, I think decently enough details about each of the use cases. The good debt, bad debt, debt trap, how to reduce loans and how to avoid loans. Now, let me pause, take some questions, and then I'll provide you a summary and also will tell you what is the next step in this project. Now I'm open for questions, Vijay. And after the questions, I might need 2 to 3 minutes of time to provide a summary and also talk about the next steps.
No problem. Right, so I have one question from Mr. Samba Murthy. So he says he wants to buy a flat in addition to taking loan. He also wishes to fund the shortfall by using his PF. Is this something that's advisable?
He wants to buy a flat by using his PF money.
No, he wants to buy a flat. He's going to take a home loan, but the shortfall he's considering using his PF.
Okay. Fortunately, the PF interest rate remains same now. I think it is somewhere around 8.5% if I'm not wrong. But when it comes to housing loan, the housing loan interest has come down drastically. It is around 7%. So it is not a wise idea to take the money from a place where you are getting more interest and actually repurposing it to a place otherwise which you would have, which is available for a lesser rate of interest. So if possible, extend that money also as your loan. If you have eligibility, try to take that loan from the bank itself. Otherwise, you can check for some other loans like jewel loans. If the rate of interest have come down, I seriously don't have an idea about the current jewel loan interest rates. You can check that as well. That is also another option. If the gap is very less, it's also not a bad idea to ask your friends. At times, friends will be of good help. They may have some surplus cash. That you may have some close friends. You can ask your friends to help you, and you can repay it without interest. That is even more wise. That is what I would suggest. The underlying thumb rule is: do not take the money wherein you are getting more interest to repurpose it to in a place wherein you can actually take a loan at a lesser rate of interest.
Great, thank you. There was another question this is along the lines of the credit score that you mentioned earlier. Now, how scared should be one if they are below 700?
Okay, what should I do if I have a credit score below 700? Is it?
Yeah. Or, is that really a scary situation to be in?
Okay, I'm not sure why it should be a scary situation. It's only a score, and it is definitely a decision-making criteria used by the banks to give you a loan. If at all you are going to take a loan, that is when you need to worry about the CIBIL score. All we are talking here is to lead a zero EMI life, not to take any loans. But depending on your personal situation, if you're going to take a loan, the credit score might be of a concern, but nobody is actually very sure about 700 is bad or a good score, by the way. Generally, they say 750 and above is a good score to get a loan. And again, it differs from bank to bank. A loan rejected by a bank can be approved by another bank. So it's all depends on how you go ahead, approach the bank, negotiate with them, and ensure that this is a good score and you are capable of repaying the money. And also, you can try to wait for some more time so that you build your credit score and then apply for a new loan so that the score is also looking good. But definitely, you should not be scared.
Sure.
So hi, I'm Chandrasekhar. I have a question. Can I go ahead? Sir, I paid off my car and home loan last year in 2020 with my wife's help, and I don't have any dues left. But I have not, after which I have not gone ahead with the cancellation of hypothecation. Is there any challenge if I don't do it, or how do I go about? Because I don't have any idea. They told me to go to the registration office and do it. I got it for my car, but I didn't get any letter or any confirmation from LIC HFL, which is where I had my home loan. So how do we go about doing hypothecation? What is the impact of not doing the hypothecation cancellation? So could you elaborate on that?
Sure. First of all, congratulations, Chandrasekhar, for closing your loans. So glad to hear that. Well done. When it comes to canceling the hypothecation, car is okay, very common. You will get a no objection certificate. When it comes to house, it's very important to have the hypothecation cancel and ensure that you are the owner of the house. So now you need to get the original documents that would have been in the bank. If you remember correctly, the original documents would have been given to the bank. It may not be with you. So you need to definitely process that hypothecation with the help of your banker. Please approach the LIC Housing Finance branch where you took the loan and ask them, urge them to close this process. It's very important for you to close the hypothecation so the legalities of this are clear so that you can actually peacefully sleep.
Okay, sir. What happens when we don't do it? I mean, I've not done it for nearly 4 or 5 months now. So what happens if we don't do it?
See, the need of the original document arises when you're actually going to sell your house. So as far as you're not going to sell your house and there is no nominee or legal hire issues, if everything goes fine and smooth, then there is absolutely no problem. But there are a lot of uncertainty that revolves around, right? We are living in a very uncertain world, and definitely you need to have your legal things very clear. You can actually postpone, but it's advisable to do it as soon as possible when things are very normal, right?
Okay.
Only when you go to sell your house, you might need the original document. But you need not wait until that. Please go ahead and complete the process with the help of LIC Housing Finance.
Yes, sir. And one more tip I wanted to add, sir. Probably you might have also mentioned it, but just my perspective. What I felt was that when I was doing the prepayments, I always ensure that it is not ideal, because this will actually make it longer for you to pay off your debts. But what my case, I felt that having a little more cash in hand would have given me a breather, and I would be able to collect money and pay it off in, every quarter. So what I did was I brought down my principal payment. It kept my overall tenure at 20 years, but I didn't have any intention of having it for 20 years. My plan was that if my outlay every month came down, I would be able to save more and probably pay off, and it also gave me a breather. So what I did was every time I made a prepayment, I had an option to reduce my EMI. I went for that. So it gave me a breather in terms of how much money I had in hand month on month. And also every quarter, I made it a point to collect some money and pay it off. So that I thought will be a helpful tip for others.
Absolutely, absolutely. When you make prepayments, as you rightly said, there are two options. One is to bring down the tenure or to bring down the EMI. So bringing down the EMI gives you a breather, more cash in hand, which again you accumulate and go and deposit it back for another repayment. I'm sure you're once again when you repay, once again you are going to reduce. You would have reduced the EMI amount itself rather than reducing the tenure. The other option to reduce the tenure will give you some psychological comfort, right? So instead of 20 years, okay, I'm going to close this in 10 years, say 7 years. So that kind of good feel factor is always there when your due date is approaching, when the end date of the loan is approaching. And once you finish the loan, and it gives you a wonderful feeling of which you are now enjoying, of closing the loan, and there are no more EMIs. So these two options are very good options. Glad that you brought this point. Thanks for the call out, Chandrasekhar.
No more questions, Mr. Palaniappan.
Okay. Fine. Thank you for these questions. Let me go back to my presentation and give you a quick summary of what we spoke so far. I spoke about zero EMI project, what of a zero EMI project, why am I even talking about it, how I landed into this, etc. I told you what are the benefits by doing this project, the key performance indicators. And then I took you through the use cases, various use cases, the good debt versus bad debt, debt trap, the ways to reduce your loans like repay, prepay, restructure, and how to prepay your housing loan faster. And the last use case of ways to avoid loans like savings, reducing expenses, live within your means, stop using credit cards, and all of that. Now, after seeing all of that, the very immediate question is, what next? Right? We know all of this now. Now, what next? Next is the very important step. Act. Take action on what you learned today. Whether be it reducing the loans or avoiding your loans or not falling in the debt trap or identifying a good loan or bad loan, take action, implement it in your own life. I know as program managers, project managers, every one of you are passionate about delivering projects. Delivery is the key, right? At the end of the day, and deliver the project for yourself. Deliver the zero EMI project for your own life and for your family. See, look at this. This is a picture of a project manager who already delivered the zero EMI project. And you could see from the picture how she is enjoying the nature and how relaxed she is. I really want each one of your picture to be placed here, and I want you to actually lead a zero EMI life. Once again, thank you very much, Vijay and Kaushik, for giving me this opportunity and inviting me to speak here. Good luck to each one of you for leading a zero EMI life, a debt-free life, and attain financial freedom. Love what you want to do. Take control of your life. Attain financial freedom. Make your own choices. And I also provided my email ID here. If there are any queries, questions which you might get later, you can write it to me. I'll be more than happy to answer you. Thank you so much, and over to you, Vijay.
Thank you, Mr. Palaniappan. That was fantastic, and thanks for taking time on a Saturday afternoon and delivering a wonderful and insightful presentation. This is almost something that we all need at the beginning of the year so that we can readjust, recalibrate, and be ready for our financial year. So I just wanted to make a couple of quick announcements before we close this session. First thing is Mr. Palaniappan has a book out there. It's called Zero EMI, and he has kindly given us 15% discount, and it's valid till the end of this month. I'm going to post the link to the website where you can purchase his book and avail the discount coupon. So here it is on the chat window. So please make a note of it and do buy and benefit from this. Just like the last picture that was shown of the project manager sitting and watching the limestone rocks. There are much more important information in his book, and please do buy and benefit from this. The second announcement I'd like to make today is that if anyone wishes to volunteer for the online KSS or wish to be a moderator of any of the future sessions, please reach out to me or to Mr. Aslam, VP Volunteers, and we'll be happy to take you through the process, and we enjoy bringing new people on board for our future sessions. So on that note, so I just wanted to thank Mr. Palaniappan once again for this wonderful session. So before I depart, I just wanted to share a memento so that just bear with me if I can just bring up the screen. Here we go. Right, so okay, so here we go. So here's the memento. I just wanted to thank Mr. Palaniappan on behalf of PMI Chennai chapter for this wonderful session. And thank you all once again for tuning in to our knowledge sharing session. So I hope to see you all actually in a week's time. So please keep around this time, maybe a little later, next Saturday. So there is another exciting session which is coming from North Carolina, USA. I will post details of it by email to you guys. So until then, enjoy the rest of your weekend. Have a good evening, and bye-bye.
Thank you, Vijay. Thank you, all of you.
Thank you.